Get a cup, get a cup, get a cup. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to another video. And today we're going to be looking at the Daily Caper, a YouTube rabbit hole by Nick Crowley. Now, Nick Crowley makes really good videos, and this caught my attention. I don't know why. It just sounds really interesting. I do not know what this is about. But with that being said, let's get into the rabbit hole. That sounds horrible.
He was relentlessly bullied. But heard too late. Police say Tip happened flooding any connection with the 15-year-old chef.
September 7th, 2012. A 15-year-old girl uploads a video to YouTube documenting her ongoing struggle with cyber harassment and blackmail being done at the hands of an unnamed individual. Throughout the video, not a single word is spoken.
I think I remember seeing or hearing about this.
Instead, the teen tells her story through dialogue written on paper cards, flipping through them one by one, painting a picture of the traumatic abuse she was living through. Just over 1 month later, she
Amanda Todd. Yeah, that name's familiar.
Would be dead, as a direct result of that very harassment. The story of Amanda Todd is one of the most heartbreaking across all of YouTube, with the case sending ripples not only across the site, but across the world as well, with the fallout still being felt to this very day. And from this case, a light was briefly cast on one of the darker corners the internet has ever seen, momentarily illuminating a community that was never meant to be seen by the public eye, with a rabbit hole even more
4chan?
more bizarre than anything we've covered on this channel before. And today, we're diving down to its very depths.
With your anchor person, Doris Marmy, and welcome to
The Daily Caper. Happy hunting.
I'm extremely intrigued because I have no idea what we're getting into here.
Before we dive into this incredibly dark topic, I chose not to do a sponsor on this one as it just didn't really feel right. But if you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon page that offers some exclusive benefits. For example, less censored versions of videos like the one you're watching right now. Or you can just go over and check out the new ghost hunting channel that myself and Nexpo started called Nick and Ryan. We've got a brand new video dropping at the end of this month and then a ton more already filmed and ready to go after that. So there will be lots of content coming very soon. Links to both of these will be in the description. And
go check it out if you're interested. Go check it out.
The story begins in the early days of the internet, a time when, due to the general public's lack
Look how old those computers are, my goodness.
of understanding of this new online world, moderation was at its most primitive and nefarious activity ran rampant, with many of the worst examples coming from the dawn of live streaming. Back then, streams and their associated chats were almost entirely unregulated, leading to them becoming a cesspool of all sorts of degeneracy, and it's within one of these
I 100% can believe that. Like, just seeing how, if you go on Twitch, the just chatting area is full of women who dress in a certain way that may make people attracted to women, very interested in the live streams. And they dress that way specifically to get the attention. At least to me, that's what it seems like. Because if it helps you get some views, you get pushed up in your ranks, and you maybe you can build a career out of that or whatever. But that's with it being regulated. Imagine if it wasn't.
These very sites where Amanda's torment would begin. It happened on a website called Blog TV, where Amanda had logged in one evening at the age of 13 to the tune of 200 viewers, and it was here that she would be pressured to eventually flash the camera, with the whole chat cheering her on.
You better not freaking show that. What?
A decision that she would regret not only in the moment, but for the remainder of her life. Lurking in the chat room was a man under the alias of Tyler Boo, who had been waiting for that very opportunity to grab a screenshot and recording of this young girl in her most vulnerable moment, before immediately turning around and using that image as blackmail in an attempt to leverage it for more private performances.
This is insane. What the frick am I getting into? What am I getting into here? First off, the fact that you have that on your computer, if you screenshotted that then makes it like what you have now is illegal, right? That's against the law. You cannot blackmail her. Yeah, you could try to, but at the same time, if you show anyone that, you're the one that's the criminal in this case, and you're the one that has to really be afraid.
It was a demand that Amanda refused, though truthfully it wouldn't have mattered anyway, as Tyler would turn her world into a living hell of online harassment, with a photo and video being sent to all of her friends, acquaintances, and family members. It got so bad that on multiple occasions her entire family would be forced to move, though this was of no use, as Tyler's evil crusade persisted. Every new school, every person she interacted with, would eventually be met with the content from that fateful stream.
That's crazy. Back then, were the police not involved? Like, this is 2012 was when that video was made, but I don't know when this started. Was it earlier? Because 2012, there was some moderation on the internet, you know? That's not that long ago.
Amanda could never outrun him, and with nowhere left to turn, she would take up drinking and drug use just to cope.
At what age?
Until eventually, on October 10th, 2012, she just couldn't take it anymore. The story of Amanda Todd is a complex...
In that situation, if you can't go to the authorities, or if you do and they can't really do anything about this, I think for one, deleting all social media stuff is probably your best bet to get away from it. Because if you're not online anymore, if you aren't posting on any social media, if you're completely wiped everything and you're just gone and you're just kind of doing your own little life, like the person has no incentive to keep bothering you, really, because they're not able to see anything going on in your life. I think that would probably be the best bet if the police are not going to get involved and hunt this person down. It's just delete all the social media. It's not like you're doing it as a career or anything, so it's not like you have tons of money riding on it. It's just like delete all the social media, maybe create new ones under a different alias, and just go under that, and maybe don't do live streaming stuff or stuff that you put your face out there, because then your face might attract the attention of this person. You know, I think there are ways you could go about this.
Tragic tale, with many factors ultimately playing a role in her untimely passing, with none being more prominent than her harasser. And with her video gaining immense virality following her passing, all eyes were on Amanda's case, with the big question being, who is Tyler Boo? A question that leads us to a particularly disturbing discovery.
See, if the police got involved, they could go to the host of the streaming service and they could just get the IP of Tyler Boo. And I don't know if VPNs were really big back then, but that right there should be a big clue on where this person is or who they are.
And today's main topic. As to unmask this abuser, we have to first recognize that he wasn't alone, but rather was part of one of the most bizarre and deranged communities ever uncovered on the internet.
World of caping?
With Amanda's story making headlines, Canadian authorities quickly began work on their investigation, dedicating a team of detectives to unmask
So this was in Canada?
the man behind the Tyler Boo alias. And there, it's likely that they discovered that the crimes Tyler had committed were far more common than you would imagine. Back then, Tyler was what is known as a capper, someone who prowls live streams of young women and men across the internet, egging them on into performing some type of lewd act. And upon convincing them to perform said act, these cappers would then take screenshots or recordings, also known as caps,
This is weird. I've never heard of any of this.
immortalizing the moment in an image or short video.
I'd say if you are going to be taking, like, I am very against taking inappropriate pictures of yourself, even if it's sending to your own loved one. I'm really against that. If you are going to be sending those kind of images, never take them with identifiable characteristics in it, such as your face or tattoos, I'd say, because let's say you break up with an individual and then they start doing something horrible with those images you sent. If it's something very difficult to identify you with, like you don't have your face in it, you don't have identifiable tattoos that everyone can see, then it's a lot harder for them to, say, I don't know, extort you, I guess.
For some cappers, this is where their involvement ends, but for many others, it goes much deeper. Once in possession of the caps, they will then use this as blackmail against the victim in order to further extort them, which is exactly what Tyler Boo had done to Amanda. And she wasn't alone. Back then, this kind of stuff happened on a freakishly regular basis, with hundreds, even thousands of cappers operating on a given night, with their list of victims being essentially immeasurable. Victims who had their lives completely and utterly destroyed by these malevolent outside forces that forbade them from ever speaking out. And these forces rarely operated alone. In reality, many of these cappers were closely intertwined within a community of individuals sharing this common practice, many of whom shared techniques, caps, and genuine online connections with each other. And as dark as this all may seem, their actual doings are somehow even worse than you could fathom.
I just don't understand how authorities weren't like, or even the site owners, whoever owns the sites here, why were they not involved with stopping it or putting some kind of like limit to this crap going down? If you own a website, I think there definitely is something where you should be responsible for the content that is on your site. You know, like with Facebook or whatever, sure, they aren't responsible for what people are posting. Like, and I understand, free speech and all that, but if you're advocating for crimes on someone's site, that's still against the law. And at that point, you've already broken the law. So I would say the sites are kind of responsible to kind of try to limit that.
A fact that would only be fully understood and laid out on a silver platter upon the discovery of an internet-based program known as the Daily Capper.
Like a YouTube channel? What?
Happy Father's Day, Cappers and Camera Folks. Welcome to the week in review of the Daily Capper.
The short-form program began its run here on YouTube back on June 20th, 2010, and continued airing weekly for over a year, with each episode having a runtime of roughly 5 minutes, primarily featuring this uncanny host in her robotic voice. And if she looks vaguely familiar, you might recognize her or even the layout in general.
This is freaking crazy. What? So they made a YouTube channel, and then what would they talk about? They can't like show the pictures that were like captured during the week or whatever on YouTube. Like what the frig would you be talking about?
As having come from the old HBO series Crashbox, an educational program made for children, which features an eerily similar segment called Distraction News.
Distraction News with your anchor person, Dora Smarmy.
Good
Oh.
evening. I'm Doris Marmy, and welcome to Distraction News, where we give you the news and then ask you 5 questions about what we've just reported.
But the Daily Capper was a much different show, as its creators stole the imagery from Crashbox and dubbed over it with this off-putting text-to-speech in order to tell
This is probably the best AI they had back then.
the top weekly stories from the world of capping, with the channel's description reading,
No cap.
"The capping world is a world that is unknown and mysterious to some, but really there's nothing mysterious about it. The Daily Capper is here to report week by week what goes on in the capping world." The page is almost like a time capsule, preserving the wrongdoings of this otherwise obscure community, and putting it all out in the open. And because of this, investigators were understandably immediately drawn to the program, as
Good, I guess.
it quite literally documented all of the highlights in the capping community, even discussing some of the group's major players and victims at the time that Tyler Boo had been harassing Amanda. And thus began their deep dive, and ours as well, into the Daily Capper. And what better place to start than at the very beginning?
Beginning of what?
We are halfway through the year, and what better way to spend 365 days than on your computer screen looking for camera ports? Despite what others think, summer is not the time to go outdoors swimming being with friends. Rather, it is a time for girls and boys to turn their computers on and get dirty.
What? What?
The show opens on a jarring note, with its creator being so crass that some might mistake this as a work of satire, though sadly this is far from the case, which becomes evident after only a few minutes when the tone is set for just how disturbing the Daily Capper was going to be.
These are some highlights from this past week. Nicole, 34, went to Tiny Chat and exposed her 15-year-old.
How were they able to upload for a year?
She was later heroed and blackmailed by Doc Holliday.
Throughout the episode, multiple stories are told about what the capping community had been up to, with the host referring to the acquisition of these caps as epic wins, a common phrase throughout the capping community, a true indicator of the time period in which the show had aired. But what makes this all the more chilling
Was that freaking coming into your windows, snatching your people up guy right
was that
there?
each of the girls that had been featured on the show were minors, with the creator making sure to mention their ages, like a 15-year-old, and even a group of 13-year-olds.
That's so stupid that you would upload that to YouTube. I mean, I guess it's good because then the police can get involved and it's kind of more the public eye, and the police, and then YouTube, if the police can get a warrant, and then, YouTube can just hand over where, the IP or whatever of where the video came from. Maybe it's good that way.
Let's start with this past Thursday. Epic win was delivered in the form of 4 13-year-old girls from Blog TV Jr. and all for a room of 300. A hero went on cam and streamed their video for them. These girls remain the most talked about girls in the capping world.
With these children bearing the brunt
The capping world just sounds like it's a bunch of freaking, pedos.
of the community's blackmail that week. It was all laid out in black and white. Not only did this one episode alone prove the existence of the capping community, but it also showed us a glimpse into how they operate, who they truly are, and just how remorseless they can be. It's truly unlike anything I've ever seen on the internet. A group so clearly committing wrongdoings, yet so shamelessly airing it out. And I truly believe that whoever was behind the Daily Capper never meant for this show to leave their little bubble. With the very first episode alone,
They posted on YouTube. What do you mean it's not meant to leave your little bubble?
including callbacks and past references to the capping community, with no added context being given.
From Blog TV Jr. went to Tiny Chat once again. If you remember, she has been to Tiny Chat before. One thing that has not changed, every post Coke makes gets deleted or banned.
Showing us that A, the community had been around long before the Daily Capper, and B, that the viewers were expected to have prior knowledge of events from within the community, making it apparent that the program was made solely for involved cappers.
Now, where would they be congregating, It's not on YouTube, especially before the show. Like, where would they be congregating on the internet to talk about this kind of crap going down? Because if they're acting like everyone knows it in their community, which means they obviously have somewhere to talk about it.
Which is likely why it comes off as so unapologetic, especially as the episodes go on, as things only devolve further from here.
I really hope there's a happy ending to this. I hope the people behind it got caught or something like that. The police got involved more.
Welcome to this special July 4th edition of the Daily Capper, and what a week it has been.
Just 2 weeks later, the Daily Capper would feature a story about a 12-year-old who had fallen victim to a capper, with said capper turning around and using the cap as blackmail to force the girl into
himself along with Razor and this guy.
Into what? Into what?
Blackmailed the girl to drink her own on this site.
a move that was celebrated by the host, as the Daily Capper didn't just highlight the best caps of the week, but also the best instances of blackmail, with the host making it
This is so freaking evil, dude. This is so freaking evil. And the reason why I think all these victims are young is because young people are more likely to fall into this kind of trap of, like, show me your pussy, or whatever the frig is they're saying, okay? Can't believe I just said that. But, you know, people, like, who are more older, more mature, be like, F off, you know, screw off. Like, no. I think if you're younger, you're definitely more given to peer pressure.
It very clear throughout the program just how much he appreciated the art of blackmail. It's a whole different level of disturbing, yet somehow the show manages to one-up itself with ease every single week, as the ages of their victims dipped lower and lower, to the point where the host was highlighting a cap.
This past Friday, Minnie pressured a 12-year-old black girl with her 8-year-old sister to seriously an 8-year-old
Taken from an 8-year-old child.
Oh, this video is way too dark for me. I did not know I was getting into here.
Which brings up a glaring note about this community. All the victims I've mentioned so far have been drastically underaged. And that's no coincidence, as virtually all the caps highlighted are mentioned to have come from minors, while those obtaining the caps were generally far older, meaning that a key pillar of this community wasn't just exploitation and blackmail,
Yeah, no, freaking it's pedos.
but pedophilia as well. And to truly hammer this point home, the host even refers to cam girls above the age of 18 as retired.
This is
What? Like, this is on YouTube, right? So are people commenting on these? What do the comments say?
also the only place you can see Charmin, dogs, and panther moose. So I guess it's also a camp retirement home.
It's impossibly grim, and though I feel the examples given prior go a long way in explaining what the Daily Capper was all about, I think the host manages to encapsulate just how vile their own show was in this one little segment.
Now a lot of people wonder exactly what capping is really like. While it's hard to explain every aspect in such a short period of time, some people have gone as far as to describe it as an underground version of Girls Gone Wild. Of course, there are a lot of differences between capping and Girls Gone Wild. For one, there are no blackmailers on Girls Gone Wild. But then again, those girls know they're going to have their videos shared all over the world. While girls on the internet will cry when they get recorded, that is a huge difference between capping and Girls Gone Wild. Plus they have to ask for permission before they use videos. And they have to be 18 or over. Complete opposite to what goes on here.
This is just evil, dude. Please tell me there's a happy ending to this. Please tell me there's a happy ending to this. We're only halfway through. It's gonna get even crazier, I assume. But back then, this is like 2010, right? Or 2012 or something. So like this stuff is... YouTube was moderating, you know, content back then. Maybe not as heavily or whatever is now, but... like, how is this allowed or not taken down sooner?
By this point, it's clear that both the community and the host of the Daily Capper are completely irredeemable, and despite some attempts by the creator to project a more neutral stance by making disparaging comments towards the community and thankfully not actually showing, this was, in reality, just an attempt to slide by what little regulation existed on the site back then. And a feeble one at that, as in one case the host even guides his community on how to obtain.
They got banned on Ustream and soon were blackmailed by Perso Pete to deleting their account. If you want to know where you can get the video, just message the person who blackmailed them. Love Ya Shotty on YouTube.
And on top.
Yeah, like the person behind this cannot pretend that they're the good person here. They're praising all the crazy evil stuff going on. Like, how are you going to pretend that you're the good person when this is what your whole channel is about?
Top of that, all throughout the show, the host celebrates the depravity within their community, and not just in a figurative way, but in a literal one as well.
Wait, so this is back in 2009? I thought it was 2010 or something, or later.
Starting from before their first program would even air, the Daily Capper hosted the Capper Awards, an Oscar-like program made to celebrate the community's accomplishments throughout the year, with awards being given for such categories as Campsite of the Year, Cam Whore of the Year, Hero of the Year, and most chillingly, Blackmailer of the Year. This annual show first premiered on a separate YouTube channel back in 2009 and encapsulated everything wrong with this community, the arrogance, the deranged beliefs, the sense of pride. As just when you think—
Wait, before this show, there was another show on YouTube?
this show can't get any worse, it goes ahead and does something like this. With the sheer size of this community being put on full display, as it was mentioned that over 4,000 votes were cast for just one category alone, at a time before the Daily Capper had even begun.
Wow.
And this wasn't a one-time affair either, as in 2010 the show would return, this time being made into a full program in the styling that we're now used to.
Welcome cappers and campers to the official 2010 Capper Awards voting video. Here we will go over the awards.
So the person who made the voting video or the other one is also the person behind this then?
And the nominees. Blackmailer of the Year. This one is for the purpose of the internet.
What?
Again, many of the same disturbed categories remained, with the most prominent being Blackmailer of the Year, which following community voting would be awarded to a user named Cody1206, who gained notoriety following his harassment of a young girl named Peyton.
Currently on Blog TV Junior, a girl named Peyton is being blackmailed every day by her mom Cody1206.
Her mod. Her mod. That means she entrusted this person to moderate them, make them a moderator. And then that's crazy.
So as usual with every blackmail, Peyton will give in to every request until Cody gets tired of her months from now and releases all her videos.
See, look at that. That right there shows you should never give in to them. Because right there, they stated that they'll just use you until they're tired and then they'll just release all the videos anyway. So there's literally no point of doing what they want.
The situation sounds all too familiar to Amanda's, and not only did the capping community know the full extent of her torment, they celebrated it at an award show. And if this all wasn't bad enough, especially considering how Amanda's story would turn out, the host had this to say in a prior episode in regards to a young girl who suddenly disappeared after being harassed by this very community.
According to her Twitter, she ran away.
Was Twitter around back in 2009 or 10? I thought it was like created. No, it must have been. It must have just been created around then.
Other sources have said she committed. Wherever she is now, we won't remember next week.
The parallels to the way...
That's so evil. That's so evil. You know, there is some real truth to the meme or joke, oh, you're being bullied or whatever, just turn off the computer. There's some real truth to that. Where, yeah, I mean, if you're in school or whatever, then you have to deal with the authorities. But if you are having stuff online where people are saying this and that about you, literally unfriend them or block them. That is an option on almost every site. Turn off your computer if it's that bad, but you can block, for the most part, you can block anyone on any site that is giving you crap. If all else fails, literally just turn off the computer, or maybe delete your social media stuff and then just play some video games. There are ways you can circumvent what's, going on online, at least in your own personal life.
This community operates and the story of Amanda Todd are extremely noteworthy, and it's not hard to see why investigators gravitated towards the Daily Capper being somehow involved in her death. After all, most of these cappers seem to be in a tight-knit group. However,
how many views are these videos getting?
There was one major reason for investigators to train their attention onto the Daily Capper, and it's a particularly devastating one.
Investigators, like police? Or just internet investigators?
Merry Christmas, Cappers, and camp to the December 19th edition of the Daily Capper. Meanwhile, another girl from blog has been talked about a lot this week.
Talked about where? Where are they talking to each other?
Denouncing Amanda.
On December 19th, 2010, the Daily Capper would air a segment mentioning an up-and-coming target for their community, with that child being 13-year-old Amanda Todd. In the show, the host states that she was extremely active on campsites, and that she was being talked about quite a bit in the capping community.
This is crazy, like campsites. What were... I don't visit campsites, okay? Besides like streaming like Twitch or on YouTube or say Kick, what the frig were campsites used for back at when this, 2009, 2010, what were they used for? Because whenever you mention campsites nowadays, it's automatically your mind goes to some kind of adult themed thing. Why were these people, these like 13 and whatever, why were they on these sites? Like what the frig were these sites for way back then? It's not like were they all like Omegle type videos, or was it like primitive Twitch kind of streaming? Like I've no idea. I don't know, it's just so many questions.
Ties to Amanda weren't just conjecture, it was proven right there in the footage.
She said she has been IP banned from Blog TV and ended up moving to Wicked Cam Chat to sing like...
Wicked Cam Chat? That site doesn't even sound... That site sounds like an adult site.
She usually does.
As coincidentally, the show just so happened to coincide with the exact time
to sing? Just friggin' upload singing videos to YouTube and call it a day. Don't stream this crap.
Time frame that Amanda's harassment had begun. She had been trapped by this community, grasped firmly in their clutches, and with the Daily Capper being so intertwined in this world of capping, it seemed all but certain that one of its members had been the culprit behind her torment.
Sounds like it.
But who? Who was Tyler Boo? Well, despite investigators likely believing that they were close to their big break, while sifting through this disturbed online world, they actually wouldn't be the ones to break the news of this man's identity, and instead, answers came out of nowhere, in a twist that somehow
like from this community? Did the community rat on this other person?
Makes this story even more bizarre.
kind of some epic... Ugh, what is wrong with my throat? Oh, Anonymous. They got involved?
Dear citizens of our nation, we have brought this announcement forward solely for the purpose of releasing Amanda Todd's Punisher's identity. You will find a URL to the man's docs in there. You will see various information about said person.
Now, I am not one... How do I say this? I do not agree with doxing at all, but in this case, where authorities are involved, people are looking for this individual, I am glad that Anonymous got involved to figure out who they were, because, like, the stuff... And I hope they would go and find out everyone involved in this community, because this stuff is... It's more than just harassing people online, right? It's actually illegal crap they're doing. It's, like, CP stuff. It's convincing young people to do stuff they shouldn't. It's like, it's not just being an a-hole online, right? This is actual crimes that are being committed that people are not getting punished for.
Before the police could even finish their investigation, Anonymous, the world-renowned hacking organization, would take it upon themselves to uncover Tyler Boo's identity, with their results finding him to be a major player in the capping community, a user by the name of Cody1206, aka 2010's Blackmailer of the Year. In the program,
He went by 2 different names?
crowning Cody1206, it mentioned how he abused a young girl named Peyton, a previously discussed victim who suffered similar harassment to Amanda, and with this notion, Anonymous dug deeper into the man, until they were able to prove that this same account was in constant contact with Amanda, and had supposedly been streaming her cap on this account for the whole world to see. And to add even more to Cody's rap sheet, he was supposedly already in the
Wait, did they arrest him then?
process of being charged with sexual assault on a minor.
Like in real life? He was already in the process of being charged, and then he's doing this crap online at the same time? Talk about not learning a lesson.
Anonymous had found their guy, and upon confirming this among themselves, they would publish this video including his full docs.
Whatever happened to them? Do they still make... Like, I haven't seen anything about them in a while. I don't know, maybe they're... I have no idea, actually.
With all of his private information being leaked to the whole world, with his real name turning out to actually be Cody. And just like that, the internet's #1 villain was unmasked. But there was just one issue. Anonymous actually got it wrong.
What? Oh no.
And when I say wrong, I mean they were completely off. As it turns out, the phone numbers and addresses belonged to entirely different people, and the birthday they provided for Cody was off by over a decade. And to somehow make it even worse, it would later be confirmed that Cody wasn't even Tyler Boo. And upon the conclusion of the official police investigation, it would be revealed that Amanda's harasser was actually a 44-year-old Dutchman by
Oh, the police actually found... Dutch?
the name of Aiden Coben.
Dutchman? Was this Dutch person in Canada? Like, how are the police going to charge him if he's in... Oh, frig, I'm having a moment. Where the frig is Dutch? Dutch isn't a country, right? Is it? It's not Deutschland. Oh no, I'm turning into a millennial.
A notorious online predator known to have almost 100 different Facebook accounts in which he used for capping.
100 different Facebook accounts? What the frig? That must mean you have like 100 different emails to manage all that crap.
With the man racking up an extremely long list of victims throughout the years, including Amanda.
Sentenced to 13 years? Good. That actually means he's getting out, what, in like the next couple of years, I think.
Who he had tormented constantly for 3 long years, leading to her passing. And though Cody did get caught in the crossfire here, I still have no sympathy for him, as he was undoubtedly a known capper in the community, and one of their most celebrated as well.
Oh, so Anonymous got the wrong individual, but they did get one of them from the community. I don't really have sympathy for that then.
And to make it even worse, it's believed that Cody and Amanda were actually friends, or at least Cody was pretending to be her friend, while at the same time, he was actually showing and sharing her caps regularly, meaning that he too was guilty for the harassment that Amanda was receiving.
More than guilty than just that, to be guilty for, CP stuff.
But despite this story being all over the place at this point, when it was all said and done, the case was finally solved, and some justice was served for Amanda, with Aiden going on to receive a prison sentence of 13 years. But that doesn't
That's kind of a good ending, I would say, because there was some justice.
mean our story is totally finished, as
No, because there's a huge community, and all this. There's so much more, but at least for that one, there was some justice.
whatever happened to the Daily Capper? Strangely, in early 2011, a full year before Amanda's passing, the show would come to an unceremonious end, with no real rhyme or reason being given. Shortly before this, it's known that the creator was dealing with issues on YouTube, likely due to improving moderation, causing the show to be kicked from the site and moved to other various websites like Dailymotion, where it can still be found to this very day.
Really? I thought the Daily Motion closed down. I haven't heard anything from the Daily Motion in years, like 6 years or something. I haven't heard anything about that site forever.
However, following the Capper Awards for 2010, it seems like everything just kind of stopped. And it wasn't just the channel that went silent either. Alongside the show itself was an associated website called thedailycapper.com, which featured recaps and updates from the weekly episodes, and even including what seems to be a monthly downloadable magazine of sorts.
What? What? Are you trying to build an empire on this type of content? You have a YouTube channel, or we gotta create a website now. We gotta create a magazine next. We're gonna create a magazine. We're gonna have monthly subscription. Like, what the frig? You're trying to build an empire on this? I was so confused here. This is nuts.
Which included God knows what. With this website and its
Don't forget to download that. It might be a virus.
services also ceasing around this very same time. And on top of this, there was even a separate YouTube channel run by the owner of the Daily Capper called The Capper Cartoons, which included animated stories about well-known cappers.
They're trying to expand their empire into cartoons, and it's all just glorifying these people's actions. This is a crazy video. I did not know what I was getting into here.
And strangely, this page also came to a halt without any given reason. One day it all just kind of ended, and we have no idea why.
Good. Maybe the person behind it, changed their ways or whatever.
Perhaps something had scared the creator off, or maybe they just moved to a more secretive location. But
That could be it too. Like, who knows? There's so many internet websites. Like, this stuff might be all on the dark web now or something. So who knows?
either way, the accounts had been dead for well over a year leading to Amanda's death, marking the end of the Daily Capper for good. Or so we thought.
Oh no. You tricked me into thinking that, huh?
Welcome to another edition of the Daily Capper. We just wanted to help provide a few more details to the recent Amanda Todd tragedy.
Out of nowhere, during Amanda's investigation, when the national spotlight was flashed on the long-defunct show, the Daily Capper would return for just a single episode to try and push the blame on Cody for the harassment of Amanda, as the show had aired right after Anonymous had dropped their video.
Oh, they must be, scared that Anonymous is going to go after other members or something, so they're trying to, push the blame. Yeah, okay, the Cody guy or whoever was actually, charged. Maybe it wasn't Cody, it was the other person, right? But that person was to blame for whatever happened to Amanda. But there are, every single episode is countless other victims that have other people messing with them. So, you can push the blame on this one individual, but that doesn't mean that everyone else is clear to fly.
But what makes this episode in particular so disturbing is the fact that it shows proof that not only had the Daily Capper interacted with Amanda, but also that Amanda had interacted with them.
As most of you know, we did a report on Amanda Todd during the time this tragic series of events began occurring. We are able to confirm the time.
How are you going to say it's tragic when in the other video you said that she wouldn't be remembered or whatever next week?
timeline in which this all began, as well as a background and information on those involved. There is one thing we can confirm about Amanda. On January 4, 2011, she commented on our video report, in which she was featured, detailing how she was being blackmailed. She states that she did in fact contact the police about her situation. Obviously, they were of no real assistance.
Well, I mean, it seems like they were, because they ended up arresting the guy and for, you know, going to jail for 13 years. So they were of some assistance. Actually, no, they weren't. They weren't until after she had actually passed, right? So it sounds like, you know, maybe they weren't really taking it seriously until something traumatic, you know, took place.
In a bizarre attempt to clear their name, the Daily Capper aired a comment that Amanda had left under their video, where they had initially mentioned her as being a new up-and-coming target. And it was there she wrote, "It's Amanda here. I'm getting blackmailed and the cops are out looking for the guy that posted the video of me flashing to all my family members and friends, because I didn't do stuff with him on cams. But
the best thing she should have done, or she could have done, was, well, yeah, 1, contact the police. 2, delete your social media stuff and maybe create new ones under a different alias, and that you can, you know, chat with friends and family, but don't be taking pictures."
That in your news, people are also getting charged, but the site is shut down. The host would try to spin this in a way that blamed the police for failing to stop Amanda's harassment, while posing as the good guys in this situation.
How stupid do you think people are? Every other video you've posted has been celebrating this kind of behavior, and then this new video, you're trying to say, oh, it's the police's fault for allowing it to happen. Like, what?
Though overtly, this only proved that the Daily Capper did in fact know about Amanda's torment, and did nothing until she was already gone. This would be the final episode ever aired of the Daily Capper. And with that, the creator and all his friends fell back into their dark corners, like snakes retreating into their holes, leaving the capping community, which was once so public and prominent, to essentially dissipate.
I assume there must be some kind of stuff like that going on still, but I do not know where it would be taking place. Because as I said, whenever you hear cam whatever, you automatically assume it's an adult site thing, right? So adult sites are not going to allow people this age on there. And I can't really think of any place where you can live stream now, besides from like Kick, Twitch, and YouTube, and maybe Rumble. Like, there's not really any other sites that, at least to my knowledge, that, you know, people this young could be on. Even like Snapchat, you might be able to go live on that, but I don't know.
But what I find so frustrating is that even with the national attention this program received,
I'm pausing too much, I apologize.
Creator has still never been identified, despite them, in my opinion, having a clear hand in Amanda's death, by platforming and celebrating this community for all the horrible things they were doing. A community in which Aiden was most certainly intertwined with, as by the Daily Capper's own words,
"You'd think anyone could be her blackmailer, right? Well, at this time, there was not a single blackmailer that the capping community was not aware of."
Many factors played a role in Amanda's death, and the Daily Capper was certainly one of them. And though I know this rabbit hole goes much, much deeper, and would eventually lead to the identity of this criminal, it's nearly impossible to explore anything past this without running the risk of encountering, which means that this is where my investigation ends. And though I'm confident that at some point the creator of this show will be unmasked, this is something that, for the time being, will have to remain one of the many mysteries of the internet.
Well, my goodness, that was an insane video. I was not aware what I was getting into. Holy crap, that was dark. I'm surprised that the authorities never looked into that further. Because, yeah, the person behind Amanda's, you know, was arrested. But there are so many other victims here, at least from those videos where every week they celebrated victims. Did those victims not go to the police? Like, how was nothing ever done, you know, for so long? I don't get it. And I guess if it's online, it's harder to track stuff, but you're posting this stuff to YouTube. The hosts of these websites, you know, authorities can get warrants, search warrants, and the hosts, as long as they, you know, they most likely have IP logs of who's visiting and who's messaging. So I don't know how anything wasn't, you know, done here, but whatever. Hope you guys like this video. Absolutely insane. Go subscribe to Nick Crowley if you like this. If you're new, subscribe. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.
Tattoo my name onto your skin. I wanna know tattoo my name onto your skin before we run out of time. Don't play with my heart, it's not a game. I'm not like the others, no, I'm not.